We all know that the involvement of science and technology are not so new in today's films. Many people love to watch films because who doesn't? Welcome to La Película Consciente. Today, we're counting down our picks for top movies that involve science, technology, and society. For this list, we're focusing on films that fall under the blanket of science fiction genre that were released both in the year 90s and 2000. Number 4. Replicas. This movie was directed by Jeffrey Nashmanoff and was starred by Keanu Reeves as William Foster, Alice Eve as Mona Foster, Emily Allen Lind as Sophie Foster, John Ortiz as Jones, Thomas Middleditch as Ed Whittle, MJ Anthony as Matt Foster, Ariel Liabu as Zoe Foster, and lastly Nyasha Hatendi as Scott. This movie was released and shown in the year 2018. Furthermore, the movie is only all about and revolves around into a neuroscientist Will Foster, who is on the verge of successfully transferring consciousness of a soldier into a robot in the laboratory where he is working for, along with his fellow scientist Ed Whittle. However, the said experiment doesn't work since the body is being rejected by the donors, leaving their boss, Jones, depressed with telling that the government will shut down the experiment soon for good. Still struggling to determine what is missing with the experiments, Will takes a break from work and spends some time with his wife Mona together with their three children, Sophie, Matt, and Zoe. The highlight in this movie is when everything changes in an instant while on the way to their vacation. The Foster gets in an unexpected car accident on the road, killing his beloved wife Mona and their three children. Desperate to resurrect them, Will recruits his coworker and friend Ed to help him secretly clone their bodies and create replicas, even though it could forever impact his relationship with his family, and will pity himself against a government-controlled laboratory, a police task force, and a physical law of science. Will eventually faces a Sophie's choice, when it turns out that there are only three pods and he can only bring three of the four of his family members back to life. Watching the movie feels like instantly winning at sci-fi bingo. It's got clones, robots, and consciousness transfer. Any one of those concepts would have been enough to fuel an entire genre flick, but Replicas jumps them all together into what is sure to be the most incredible mashup. Cloning has a storied history dating further back than most of us realize. Cloning is in some respects an attempt by science to reclaim a new method of reproduction since we tend to become a more advanced people nowadays. Clones, by definition, are any organism produced sexually which is identical to its ancestor. In that respect, the Earth is practically littered with clones. This movie only makes us realize that its relevance to the society shows that maybe in the long run we could live and already make interactions with human clones, since it's likely that until such time as the technology advances to the point of continual success, the question of human reproductive cloning would soon be accepted. Number 3. Bicentennial Man. This movie was directed by Chris Columbus and was starred by Robin Williams as Andrew Martin, Sam Neill as Sir Martin, Ambeth Davids as Little Miss and Portia, Oliver Platt as Rupert Burns, Wendy Crewson as Mom Martin, Stephen Root as Dennis Monsky, Bradley Whitford as Lloyd, Kirsten Warren as Galatea, Angela Landis as Miss Martin, and John Michael Higgins as Bill Faingold. This movie was released and shown in the year 1999. Bicentennial Man follows the 200-year life of a robot searching for identity, friendship, love, and ultimately humanity. Programmed to be a domestic servant, the robot named Andrew by his master learns that he is more than just a machine. Be it faulty programming, loose wiring, or this positronic anomaly, he, unlike his fellow robots, has a unique personality, will, and feelings. One of the highlights in this movie shows that over the years, upgrades provide him with enhanced facial expression, then a human-like skin, then even a central nervous system. But he's still a robot. So, he sets out on a journey to become recognized as fully human. He's even willing to pay the ultimate human price, which is death.
See, we have to face the undeniable fact that no matter how much you may be like a human being, you are not part of the human gene pool. You are outside of it entirely. You are something else, something artificial.
In order to fully understand the context of this movie, it is important to understand Isaac Asimov's three laws of robotics first. These laws are first, a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Second, a robot must obey the orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. Lastly, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law.
Society can tolerate an immortal robot, but we will never tolerate an immortal human. It arouses too much jealousy, too much anger. I'm sorry, Andrew. This court cannot and will not validate your humanity. I hereby bring an end to these proceedings. It is the decision of this court that Andrew Martin, from this day forward, will continue to be declared a robot, a mechanical machine, nothing more.
One is glad to be of service.
This film, to be honest, is not a story about a witty robot that functions as a slave that makes the modern family's lives more perfect. Rather, this is a story about a witty intelligent robot that begins its relationship with the modern family as a device created to enhance their lives. And this relationship ends in a realization that humanity is not defined by creation's construction. The modern family, including Andrew, learn that what makes humans human is not just simply they are composed of skin, bones, flesh, and blood. The real functional unit of a human lies in the soul. It is important to note that although Andrew must rely on changes in his anatomy in order to be accepted as human by society, Andrew long before accepted himself as human. He realized that humanity should not be measured by the material of his being, but rather by the fabric in his character.
Why do you want this?
To be acknowledged for who and what I am. No more, no less. Not for acclaim, not for approval, but the simple truth of that recognition. This has been the elemental drive of my existence, and it must be achieved if I am to live or die with dignity.
The top two in our picks is Predestination. This movie was directed by Spierig Brothers and was starred by Ethan Hawke as Agent Doe, Sarah Snook as Jane or John, Noah Taylor as Mr. Robertson, and many more. This movie was released and shown in the year 2014. A time-traveling agent is trying to disarm a bomb that explodes and burns his face. Someone approaches and helps him to grasp his time-traveling device, which then transports him to a hospital in the future. While the agent is recovering from facial reconstruction, it revealed that he has been trying to prevent the attack of the so-called Fizzle bomber in New York in 1975. After his recovery, he received his last assignment.
Not one was never taken to a hospital.
Born female, the customer grew up as Jane in an orphanage. She excelled in her studies but had difficulty fitting in. Jane decided any children she had would be raised in a proper family and thus avoided relationships. As an adult, she applied for a program called Space Corp, which promised women the chance to go to space while providing astronauts with intimate R&R, but she was later disqualified because of a medical condition which had never been revealed to her, but which greatly interested man, a man named Robertson. Predestination seeks to address the paradox of free will, whereby God's omniscience seems incompatible with human free will. In this usage, predestination can be regarded as a form of religious determinism, and usually predeterminism. The technology shown in this movie was the time machine itself. However, this movie enables each person to attain salvation through his or her free cooperation. The Catholic Catechism says to God, all moments of time are present in their immediacy, when, therefore, He established His eternal plan of predestination. He includes in it each person's free response to His grace.